So I've been asked by a lot of people to try out some new content, to try out, just talking about what I feel like is really interesting, and just talk about the game overall. And today I'm going to be trying that. Now, as well, I get a lot of people that say, stop making the same videos, stop making the same stuff. So hopefully I can start to make some of these that are a bit different and that a lot of you guys can enjoy if you don't just want more tip videos, because of course there are a lot of those out there. Now, with that said, I am kind of afraid making this type of content because I'm afraid it'll just get a lot less views, a lot less people will enjoy it, and a lot less people will click on it. A lot of people seem to like to complain that, there's too many tip videos out there, but then I try to upload something else and then they only still click on the tip videos, which is kind of weird. But, if you want to hear any more stuff like this in the future, if you want to see any more videos that are just about mainly just a variety of different topics that I feel like are important to Overwatch, and that could maybe open up some discussions, then please tell me in the comment section down below. And as well, share with a friend if you want to actually see more of this type of stuff, or leave a like on this video particularly, because I just kind of want to see where this can go. Anyways, with that said, today I'm going to be talking about my own opinion. As always, this is not 100% concrete fact, but mainly just what I've been thinking, what I've been really experiencing while playing, and going on from there. Now, of course, the topic of today you read in the title is simply how the vocal minority sometimes ruins Overwatch balance, or ruins balance in Overwatch, or whatever the heck you want to say with that. Now, I know that this is pretty, I guess, open-ended, because you could say, sometimes it doesn't happen, and sometimes it does happen, but I feel like in Overwatch especially, we've had a lot more examples of it happening than not. Some really good examples is, of course, Roadhog, Genji, I guess Mercy to a certain extent, and then I guess McCree as well. A lot of the times in Overwatch, it's kind of weird as far as the game goes. In most games, people complain about the highest win rate characters almost all the time. People complain about who's completely demolishing the meta, and they immediately cry for nerfs, but Overwatch is a little bit different. In the case of Genji and Roadhog, they both had near 50% win-loss ratio. They were quite balanced as far as, the game competitive system works, and it wasn't really like they were completely tearing up the meta or anything. It's just certain people didn't like the character and didn't like certain things that the character could do. A lot of people just don't like the mechanisms that maybe some heroes have that some heroes don't. I feel like, again, probably the easiest example to show with this is, of course, Roadhog. Roadhog just got gutted. I think we could all agree with that. He got gutted pretty hard. They just got rid of his one-shot ability, they got rid of his pick ability, and they made him into a kind of weird tanky thing that honestly doesn't feel like it was, designed that well at all for this type of game. He just feels kind of right now, and I'm hoping that he gets a rework or something, but it's just kind of as far as it is right now. And this really came to be not because he was too strong or not because he was countering everyone, but because a lot of people complained about how annoying the one-shot was. While I can't agree that it was annoying, I feel like there was a lot more people saying that it was fine as it was, and that it was, okay to play around, and that it really wasn't way too overpowered, than the amount of people that were complaining about it. But Blizzard is doing a thing where they like to listen to a lot of people complaining, and listen to a lot of vocal minorities complaining. And there does come a problem with that. Of course, there is the benefit that you do appease quite a bit of people. You appease the people that are very loud, that are very angry, and you make them happy for a certain amount of time. However, in a lot of cases, we've also seen that appeasing that small group really pisses off the big group in a lot of big cases. When you see a top tier character getting nerfed, you don't really complain to the game way too much. Of course, some people that maybe main that character will, but most people will say, whatever. It's just kind of how the game works. They gotta balance it out. But when a game is balanced just because certain people complain, well, guess what's going to happen when you nerf that character that's not even way too overpowered in the first place, or really overpowered at all? Everybody that was already playing them, or everybody that simply liked how they worked in the meta, or thought that they were halfway decently balanced, is going to complain now. The vast majority of players are going to start complaining about him. Again, we saw this with Genji, and mainly recently with Roadhog. I feel like more people have complained about Roadhog being just essentially unplayable for a long while, than being really annoying to deal with. And that's, I feel like, where the problem really just comes into it as far as Overwatch goes. The Blizzard balancing team is really nice. I feel like they are really great people that are trying to appease as many people as possible. But I feel like there does come a problem, again, with trying to just appease the people that are the loudest. I feel like overall, at least in my own opinion, games should mainly be balanced on trying to make it fun. So it does kind of make sense to nerf these characters that some do think are really annoying. However, I feel like if you do this, and you listen to this vocal minority, you do kind of have to make up for the nerfs somewhere else and make the characters still just as strong, but maybe get rid of that one part of the kit that everybody hates. You can't really just gut a character and expect everyone to be like, hey, you know, that's great. I love this. Sure, some people, again, might be kind of happy about it, but a lot of people simply just won't really like where you went with that. Again, personally, to my own taste in how to balance a game, I really like buffing other characters more than just nerfing a lot of characters. And I feel like what's kind of been the problem in our community is that we haven't really seen way too many huge buffs. While we have seen a few, you know, like Soldier, and I guess the McCree buff a long time ago, and you know, some other characters, Winston E buff was pretty good. A lot of the times we see a lot more nerfs than buffs, and we nerf, you know, the best characters a ton. You know, Anna, she got shot down really, really far. A lot of other characters we're seeing a ton of nerfs with. And the problem is, when you start nerfing a lot of characters, it just gets people in the mentality that instead of calling for buffs on weak characters, you should call nerfs on strong or annoying characters. And that's, again, kind of just what's been going on right now. Essentially, just everybody, instead of, you know, asking maybe for, like, Widow to be buffed, I mean, she was, but maybe even a bit more of a buff, or for Mei to be buffed, or for any of these other characters that aren't doing way too great to be buffed, we often complain, or the vocal minority often complains about some random thing that they might hate, and then it'll get nerfed from there. I feel like, again, because, you know, that's just kind of the way the community has gone, and the way the community has really been taught to go about its business, just by how Blizzard interacts with their own game. I really can't blame these people. You know, some cases it's me, some cases it's you, some cases it's whoever. You really can't blame the small groups, because it does kind of make sense. You know, they're doing what will probably change the game, as it's been proven time and time again in the past to change the game. But again, it does really cause a lot of just microgasms in the Overwatch balance, and a lot of the times it's just kind of annoying to deal with. As well with this, one thing that I thought was really weird is that a lot of the times it feels like Blizzard will ignore really big balance problems and instead focus on these smaller problems. I feel like a good example was D.Va for Season 4 and Season 5. D.Va became extremely powerful, and most players in the upper echelon said that she was really hard to counter, not very fun to play against, and ruined a lot of Overwatch competitive esports games. And a lot of people actually kind of gave up for an entire season because of her. And you'd think, because, you know, that gets so much complaints in the higher elos, that, you know, Blizzard would just immediately nerf that, but they didn't really touch it for like 2 whole seasons. So it's kind of hard. We're getting like weird mixed messages from Blizzard, and a lot of the times it feels like, I guess, pro players' opinions kind of matter, but then I guess they also just don't matter at the same time. It's really hard to tell where Blizzard is honestly going with this game a lot of the time, seeing where they're going with the balance, and seeing where your opinion really comes into all of this. I wish that they'd just be a bit more open with this. Tell us if they're focusing on the high elo community, if they're focusing on the average player, what they're really focusing on. Now, of course, I feel like they can do a thing that they're doing right now where they're just trying to help everybody and help whoever really complains first and the loudest. But again, it often just leads, you know, the majority to not really be way too happy with the results. I guess a good example about how this can kind of work is League of Legends. In a lot of cases in League, they will nerf the best characters in the game, you know, the characters that are super OP at top levels, while at the same time, all the characters that are, you know, pretty OP but only at lower levels, at like bronze and silver, they won't really nerf them way too much, but instead they'll rework them and make so that they're stronger at higher levels, but maybe a little bit weaker at lower levels, like, you know, increasing the skill cap or something. I feel like Mercy might be a slight hint at this, but nowhere in the past have we really gotten way too much of this. Essentially, you know, nerfing the top or buffing the bottom, and then also changing characters that are just too good at low elo. We haven't really seen way too much of that. In a lot of cases, we just see this kind of weird mentality where they just kind of do what they do. It's kind of hard to tell what they're going for. Are they going for the high elo, or are they going to fix up the low elo? What do they want to do? I kind of wish that they'd go over that a little bit more and kind of just tell us, I guess. Mainly though, in the end, again, I feel like the problem does come up again where just kind of vocal minorities do create where Blizzard just listens to them a lot. And while that can be good, and while I do like change, I do like everything to be fixed, I like everything, you know, we all do like that. I feel like, of course, the way that we complain often is just not way too healthy for the game. The way that we've been taught to complain just really isn't way too healthy for the game. I guess one final thing that I want to talk about is how a lot of the times these vocal minorities will really make the game seem like it just kind of sucks. A lot of people complain completely about the meta. They hate no matter what's going on, and there's always some group doing this, and often lowers the morale of the entire community of Overwatch. Now, I guess this isn't really about balance as much, but I feel like it's just overall Also, a weird little problem we have in our community going on, and I'm hoping that someday we can fix that, get a little bit less toxic, but that's another thing that I'll probably just talk about in another time, about, again, the vocal minority. Anyways, as always, guys, thank you all for watching. This is just my own personal opinion about Overwatch balance. As far as a solution for myself, I'd really like if they just either, balance the game based off who's bad or who's good, nerf them or buff them that way. I'd really enjoy if they buff the game a lot more than nerfing it, and I'd really enjoy if they listened overall to the majority of players, and maybe if they started to do some polls or something like that, where you could actually vote in on if you want a character to be buffed or nerfed or changed. That could be some good fixes. Any of those things, in my own opinion, other than, again, doing what Blizzard does, which is just kind of sometimes randomly nerf and buff stuff, it seems like, and then at other times, nerf characters that aren't really way too great because a lot of people are complaining about them. Anyways, as always, guys, thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. This was a bit different than most of my other videos, just talking about a subject that I feel like it's pretty interesting, in my own opinion, about just how strong these groups can be and how much change they can really do, but I don't know, maybe that's just me. Anyways, as always, guys, thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a wonderful day.